All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Tuesday, January 5th, so second trading day of the year. I think this went a lot better for traders than than yesterday, or at least ones that are long, probably on the short side. Some bears made some money yesterday in the market, but overall, really good performance. If we look to this, whoops, I did not update this here, but so today will be, by the way, like a quicker video because I am on vacation. I was skiing this for half the day or three-quarters of the day today, but sometimes you just kind of have some positions on that you like, and it turns out well if the setup is, you don't have to be micromanaging every position, and sometimes it does get it. Sometimes it does work. When you're not monitoring every blip on the screen. So, where did the averages finish for the day? Interesting because IWM was at 1.6%, clearly the outperformer of the day. You had really nice performance in the small caps and the Qs today. As far as where they went during the trading session, small caps were up 1.6% for the day. Qs were up 80 basis points. Then it's kind of interesting when you look under the hood at some of the sectors that you have here. Oil, energy names, metals, and mining names did very well today. Steel names were very strong today. Clean energy names were strong today. But it's kind of interesting because you look up here and you're like, oh wow, you get one picture based on what the indices were doing. And you could kind of split things up a little bit in terms of value and growth. And growth did fine today. I think we'll go over some charts in that area. But I was astounded, kind of, when I came back, kind of looking at the performance. Part of that was today this OPEC deal, I guess, that they've been talking about, as well as a very strong ISM manufacturing number that came out today. Sometimes, this kind of gets overshadowed, right? A number that comes out earlier, but if you look at this ISM number, which again, I don't talk too much about economics, but things like the ISM, PMI numbers, those are more leading indicators. But you can see this was a 60.7, right? If you're not familiar with this ISM gauge, anything above 50 is expansionary. Anything below 50 is more recessionary or contraction. So a 60 was pretty strong number. So that's the manufacturing. We'll get ISM non-manufacturing. That should come out probably in a couple days. You got ISM services index. Yeah, it comes out. What is that? In 2 days, I think. All right. What's today? Today's the 5th. So yeah, we should get that in 2 days. Yep. So Thursday. All right, so that's that. Yeah, you could call this turnaround Tuesday. Overall, the breadth was also strong for the market. Areas. So again, if we kind of go down some of these sectors, the banks did well today. Retail. So again, like a whole mix of sectors. The semiconductors were very strong today, up 1.75% for the day. Very strong for the group. What didn't perform? Well, kind of interesting. Gold miners, right? They were flat for the session. They actually declined. Remember, we saw all that. I was making reference of all the call activity in the gold miner space and in GDX yesterday. Not the best option activity in my opinion. Maybe a little bit of a pullback. If you really like some of those names, is a little bit better, but I never chase any of the gold miners. Silver miners had another good day. PAAS, and yeah. Before we kind of go into some charts and so forth, I want to talk about my, since it is a new year. One of the things that we started back in August of last year was this TTG watch list trade, right? It's a very different concept. Traders sometimes have a hard time getting their arms around it. But what I do is every weekend I pick out names that look like pretty good setups, and I own them for the whole week, right? So sometimes I'll take a swing trade or two in the watch list name, in one or two of the watch list names. But really, what I'm doing is I'm buying all these names on Monday open. I'm holding them through the week. On that Friday, or Friday coming up, what I'll do is I'll sell all these names and I'll substitute into SPY, right? So I'll hold like SPY, which is the beta, over the weekend, and then when I come up with a new watch list, which again every weekend, I'll go ahead and buy that watch list for the week. So it's one way to kind of like put your ideas to work, right? And I do this in a portfolio trading system called M1 Finance. So it's just one trade, right? I'm not entering 21 orders. I'm entering one order that includes all the names, right? I do have to program all the names, but you could see, so far the S&P is like just down a little bit for the week, and this thing is up 2.6%. Now, I did have a couple names that skewed it a little bit. I had PAAS in here. Obviously, this FUTU, which everybody's talking about. I'm up 28% in that in 2 days, so that's kind of skewing the performance a little bit. Neo is also doing pretty well. Square, Taiwan Semiconductor, TAN. I just decided to put the whole solar ETF. So I took a trade, a swing trade in EN. PH, but I like the whole solar space. C Limited, Deere's also doing very well. So we got a nice group of winners here. Of course, there's a couple in here that are lagging to Lending Club and Edward Life Sciences, which it looked like that name was trying to break out. But GWRE also down a little bit, right? So, but yeah, that's this is doing what basically the goal is, right? To outperform SPY every week, right? Even if SPY has a down week, right? I want to be obviously outperforming it. So off to a really nice start here, up 2.6%. And again, I'll hold this trade through the week and sell it on Friday. Let's talk about some setups that I saw today, right? From yesterday, we'll talk about some of the ones from yesterday first. ENPH was up like about 7%. I took a couple targets in this one, so we can go over to my trades channel here. Again, I did not do a lot of trading today because I was skiing. I'm up at Lake Placid, New York, beautiful up here. So I took a target in this pre-market before I left, but then I took another one here. This right the right price? I guess. This was 175. The stock went all the way up to 184. Big move in this one, and that's it. I got out of a trade that I put on yesterday. We talked about this ARK F trade, which is kind of an interesting ETF. It is one of the ARK funds, right? This is the ARK FinTech ETF. We did see some call activity in that one, so I have a special video for members on the whole setup in that one, so I won't really go into details for that. You have to be a member. That video was sent out around 2 o'clock today. A few other things that I kind of noticed, and I didn't want to add on a ton of positions, but it's funny that in trading, that if you let some of these names pull back from getting, where they were a couple weeks ago, which everything was overbought, it is one of the hardest things I think to do in trading is to take profits and know when to kind of sit back a little bit, right, and wait for things to kind of come into you, right? Wait for your pitch. What's another sports? I love the sports analogies. You play your own game, right? You wait until these things kind of come in. And as I talked about in yesterday's video, so many of these growth names, it doesn't matter what they are; they all look the same. So this is one, right? I think we may have talked about Square, right? How a nice pullback into the 20-day moving average. How many names have you seen pull back into the 20-day moving average and bounce, right? It's pretty interesting. PayPal looks very similar to Square, but also bouncing a bit today, up 1.3%. But if you start to look at the metals and mining space, right, XME, right, has now broken out or broken above this next leg, right? We've talked about this ETF before. So metals and mining, a lot of steel in here, a lot of mining names, a nice way to kind of play the whole group. I think this thing goes, up to 3630 is the first VPOC, but nice bull flag there in XME. The name that I went long today, again, I always kind of give you an idea of what I did. This is Reliance Steel and Aluminum. I view this one as best in breed. Notice it's out to 52-week highs, so I don't mess really too much, even though there was some call activity today in U.S. Steel. I stick with the strength, right? So I know this is an $18 stock, and this one's 123, so it's a little bit harder to position in. But I think this thing has a chance after all this consolidation to kind of to possibly rip higher 125, 131. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. If you look across some other names too, I think Snap is really interesting in here, right? This Snap, has really changed personalities since this thing has had some good earnings reports. So the dips continue to get bought in this one, right? So you got to move into here, move into here. Just change sectors a little bit. We can look at one name that's been curious to me is this Nvidia, because it's real. The price action has been so tight in this thing, and I thought I talked about a possible that this thing was leaning down. I was worried about a possible breakdown. Well, if this thing breaks 537 and change here, 537.18, you could have a nice move that starts in Nvidia. But for me, again, it's got to close above that 537. I traded that a little bit yesterday, and I'll get back into it. I had a limited risk reversal, so I had a call and a short put spread. I'm still short the put spread, right? So that's a bullish trade on both sides. But for now, I may add a position tomorrow. But it seemed like there's so many opportunities today for names that pulled back and are looking quite feisty. Applied Materials, there were some calls right at the end of the day in that one. And what else were we looking at today in terms of chart setups? We talked about the Carvana, Snap. ARCG, but yeah, I mean, a lot of things going on here. What else was I mentioned the watch list. Also, here's a couple charts that I was that I was mentioning in terms of large cap value versus growth, right? It kind of looks like value is trying to go a little bit higher. My final thought, and you could see this in the small caps. Small cap value has been outperforming small cap growth over the last few weeks now. My overall market thought is this. Now, again, this is just one day, and the beauty of this market is if you feel like you're a little bit worried, right? We've talked about this. This McClellan summation index is still in a bearish crossover. So, personally, I am waiting for this to kind of straighten itself out a little bit. And it will do that a little bit today, I believe, because of the stronger breath. But I would like to see this back where, again, when the line goes above the 10-day moving average, it's, in my opinion, the wind is more at your back versus the wind is a little bit at your face, right, in terms of trend, right? So that's kind of what I'm watching the next couple days. And, I'm adding positions into this, especially in the growth area. Well, growth and value. But yeah, my market thought is I really don't want to be in just one area, right? I've talked about this many times in these videos about, as a trader, a retail trader, you're not mandated to just do growth names, to just trade growth names, right? You could trade either or, right? There's a lot of opportunities, I think, in this, within this group. Deere is breaking out, right? We've talked about Caterpillar. That is also, broke out yesterday, had a little bit of follow through. But again, I think there's multiple areas right now of the market that are interesting, not just like the super high growth, right? You're going to hear a lot about names like QS today, rebounding. Again, very very volatile names. Interesting that it did come into that 50-day moving average to find support, but still, this stuff is very volatile. CrowdStrike also nice looking bullish engulfing candle, right? So again, not much of a pullback in this one, and the strong names, in my opinion, don't give you that much of a pullback, right? So this thing marched up to 227, into about 200, and now back above value. Again, where did this thing find support? Not at the 50-day moving average, but at the 20-day moving average. Super strong. All right, guys, I'll leave it there, and I will see you guys tomorrow in the trading room. No skiing for me tomorrow, so I will be trading. Thanks very much. Have a great evening.